I'm the scariest assassin out there. You're not so scary. Ah! Yeah! Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm taking a look at the Marvel Legends Marvel Knight series Bullseye. Now these are shipping right now. I happen to grab this off eBay, but the rest of my case is coming from Dorkside Toys. But Bullseye here, he was the one I needed the most. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of the Netflix series. I need the Daredevil, I need the Elektra, I need the Punisher, Jessica Jones, hot. And then of course Blade. But Bullseye, he is one of my favorite characters. I've been using an avatar of him on the Fwoosh forums for years and years. I always loved him appearing in Deadpool, Daredevil, wherever he may pop up. I needed this figure right off the bat. Looking at the package is what we're used to. It's the box, it's the red background, the black and white of Bullseye stands out really nice against that. And it also works into his logo that they put across here, black, white, red. Perfect. On the side, a comic picture of Bullseye. I feel like there's better pictures out there, but hey, this works for me, and this is getting tossed anyway. On the back, pretty picture of Bullseye, bio, the rest of the wave. I can't wait for these, but I needed this one. Down here's some warnings. The unreadables probably says something like, always wear eye protection when playing with this figure because of sharp objects, thrown objects, that kind of thing. On the other side, the same picture. The top, Bullseye. Bottom, legalese, barcode. So I'm gonna get this open and just see how badass this toy is. I don't know if I don't pay attention to the packaging inside too much, or if this is something new for this series, but they've added a little graphic inside. Again, looking at old packages, which I just happen to have laying around here. They do. Here's the Black Panther package. He's got some grass and some tundra, that thing behind him. Why haven't I ever noticed that before? Or somebody pointed it out to me. That's kind of cool. A city street or rooftops. Yeah. And there we go. All out of the package. And for such a simplistic figure, oh my God, this thing is fun. I just spent the past 2 hours taking pictures, trying to figure out poses. You won't see all the pictures here. You probably won't even see all the pictures on the front page. But yeah, just fun to play with. In fact, I don't have time for this review. I'm just going to go play with this right now, and I'll be back later. Don't worry about it. Looking at the sculpt, this body is reused. It was originally Spider-Man 2099, I think, the updated costume, and then they just used it on Sunfire. And you know what? It completely works here. It differentiates him from Daredevil a bit, which uses the Bucky Cat body. At first I thought, oh, it's going to be skinny, but nope, it completely works here. Now they did add the belt and the holster and the strap. I can't remember if it's reused. I think this is new because it has a holster on the back too. Then paintwork on the body, it's just the base color and then white on top of it, but it's all nice and clean all the way around. And for the base body, I'm glad they didn't go with straight up black. Even though in the comics, it's usually that deep black that you can't even see detail in, at least back in the day when I used to read comics. But this is a dark gray. It's not actual black. And it works here. And then getting up to the head, excellent sculpt here. I love the smile here. It's sinister, but a little bit comic booky. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit playful. And at first I thought this could be used for other masked characters that have smiles, you know, but I do believe the bullseye on the forehead is sculpted. So that's out unless you want to do some sanding. And then the paint up here, the eyes are really nice. The teeth, I wish there was a little bit of red here and there, kind of in the eyes or in the mouth, just to kind of set it off. And then my bullseye on the forehead does have a little scratch on it at about 6:30, 7 o'clock. But it doesn't really bother me at all. Now, like I said, I love this base body here. It works for Bullseye. I thought it was going to be skinny, but it's not. I think of Bullseye as agile, athletic, but lithe, you know, so this completely works, the limbs being a little bit skinny. But one thing that does bother me, that didn't bother me until somebody pointed it out, is how pointy the feet are. Reading comic books in the 90s, I guess I've put up some kind of shield in my brain that doesn't see this kind of stuff, but yeah, it's okay, but I feel like it could be rounded off a little bit more. And then on the belt, if you want to get into really crazy poses, which it's Bullseye, I want to, you have to kind of watch out for where the holster meets the belt. Now in the package, this strap on the leg was pushed way high, which makes the belt sit way high. I'm more of a belt down kind of guy. So I pulled this down, brought this down. It kind of balances out the figure a little bit more. But whenever you bring the leg up, the peg that holds, well, not the holster on there, but the whole belt together starts to, oh, see, it starts to come out right there. So it pops right back in. Not a huge deal, just thought I'd point that out. Going over articulation, there's a ball on top of a hinge going up into the head so he can bury his chin in his chest. He can look up really well. Not a lot of tilt. Then, of course, there's swivel. There is a butterfly joint. It goes back really, really far. And then forward, if you bring the arm up a little bit to where it kind of fits into that groove, it can come forward more, but you bring it down and it comes out. Then there's a hinge and swivel coming out of that. You can come up to about right there, and then it swivels around. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow doesn't come up as far as you would think it would, and that's because it's not cut out a lot right here on the top hinge. I'd like to see more range of movement there. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, swivel, hinge. Hinge at the abdomen, comes forward, really good. Arcs back really good. Swivel at the waist. Hinge and swivel at the hip, comes up pretty much all the way. Goes back, out. Again, we're seeing that limited motion right there only because it's not being cut enough up around the top for some reason. I don't know why Hasbro's doing that. Swivel at the thigh. Double knee comes all the way up, kicks his own ass. Well, almost. Okay, so he can't reach. Let's, right there, touching. Swivel at the boot line. Hinge at the ankle, goes back really well, goes forward, pretty good, and then forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Bullseye comes with a couple of grip hands, and the right hand is actually a trigger finger. Where was that when we got Punisher a few months ago? The left hand looks like a trigger finger, but it's not. It's molded to the rest of the fingers. And then for an alternate left hand, he comes with a pointy finger, which this is really cool. It's a comic cover where he's pointing at the reader, but that doesn't really work here. It works more as a finger gun, I guess, or your next kind of finger. Because even though they're easy to switch out, it just pops out, pop the other hand in, it's a side-to-side hinge on this, so you can't get it up to his face and pointing forward. If this hinge was up and down, it'd be easier to replicate that. So, pew pew. And then there's another left hand that's splayed out, and it has a throwing effect with 3 throwing blades. And this looks really good, nice paintwork there. I've seen some people gripe about it, that the effect doesn't work and such, but it's an extra. Who cares? Toss it in a tub, throw it away, do whatever you want. It comes with another hand. And again, that just plugs in, and it looks really good. Although when I was taking pictures, sometimes I would look at it like he's got claws or something. For other accessories, he comes with a pistol. I feel like I've seen this before, but I can't remember where. It's a nice little sculpt, but it's just molded in gray. Not a lot of paint detail at all. And another thing is very soft plastic. I mean, I'd say be careful with it, but it may be so rubbery that it's not going to break off. Now that does go in his right hand with the trigger finger really well, or you can put it in the holster, and I feel like I'll be using the holster most of the time. And then he also comes with a blade. It's almost like a small tanto, I guess you call it. You have the grayish color for the blade, the black for the handle, no other kind of paintwork on it. And I do believe this came with Deadpool first. And this goes in his left hand. It grips really well, it stays tight, or there's a holster on the back where you can store that. It gets in there, it gets really tight towards the end, so I don't feel like that's going to fall out. Nice. And then for the final accessory is the crazy bastard unmasked head. Where I said the masked head looked a little bit sinister, but comic booky, a little bit playful. This thing is full on, I'm gonna stab you, I'm gonna shoot you, I'll murder your family. This head is crazy. I usually don't go for the screaming heads with the open mouths and such, but this completely works here. I can just see using this on the shelf with knives at other figures' throats or throwing shit at other figures. And it's a really nice sculpt. There's a uvula back in the back of the throat. There's the tongue. There's the missing tooth. Bullseye on the forehead is sculpted into it. It doesn't actually look carved, like scarred or anything. It has a kind of a machined look to it, but it still works from a distance. That's only if you get up on it. And to switch out heads, just pops off. You pop the other one on, and it works really, really great. This looks good. Now, if you're a fan of the Dark Avengers where Bullseye was Hawkeye, or running around as Hawkeye, you can pop the head off here and pop the arrows off and throw everything around, whatever you want to do. Pop the head off here. It doesn't actually fit the ball, but you can get it down on there tight where the head will stay. And I haven't done the trick where you glue this down and it makes it look better, but this does work on this body. If you want to do that, you have, you know, the comic head on the Bullseye body. You can use the unmasked head on the dark Hawkeye body. For comparison, here's Bullseye with Daredevil. Like I said, I like that the bodies are different. It does make Bullseye a little bit thicker than Daredevil. But you get your action poses, you get your dioramas, you get whatever you want to do, and they do look great together. Here he is with the last Hasbro Deadpool. Deadpool's a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, but I still feel like this works. And then here's the biggie. Here he is with the original Toy Biz Bullseye. And Toy Biz, they went for that realistic, gritty type look. A lot of sculpted detail here and there. And the base body at the time was revolutionary. But it didn't really work for those of us who wanted a comic style, that stark white against black, or in this case, dark gray. But side by side, these actually work. The old Bullseye kind of scrawny, but it still works height-wise and proportion-wise. So at the end of the day, I love this thing. I absolutely, truly, bottom of my heart, love this thing. I didn't think I was a fan of the base body, but here it completely works. Now, some of you may say it doesn't beat the old Bullseye, and I don't think it's a race. I think this is two completely different offerings here. If you're a fan of the gritty, of the more realistic, the old Toy Biz Bullseye is going to do you fine. But if you wanted a comic Bullseye, this one will do you better. One doesn't beat the other, it serves two different purposes, and that's great. I like that. Hasbro's not out to just kill all the Toy Biz figures, even though some people may feel like that. They do happen to do that sometimes, but we're also talking about technology 10 years on. Even though things kind of dropped off in the paint app and super hyper realistic detailing, the engineering and the articulation is kind of miles above. The old Bullseye had those 45-degree hips, and I remembered why I didn't like those just now. But the bad thing about going back and finding that Bullseye, which was in a tub, I hadn't looked at a lot of these figures in years and years, and I was like, oh, hey, look at that. That's nifty. Ooh, that one's a lot better than I remember. It's like buried treasure, and I was trying to remember why I put these in the tub in the first place, and then I remembered I only have so much room. Some of that stuff has to go in a tub. But anyway, this Bullseye, I feel like, at least for me, there's going to be a solid line between the people that prefer the Toy Biz and the people that are happy to get the new Hasbro. But for me, even though I don't have the rest of the figures in this wave yet, this is the biggie for me. Like I keep saying, I love, love, love this figure. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.